I always had big dreams for my job. Some of the many jobs I've wanted to have included a princess, a ballerina, a teacher, and even a meteorologist. Obviously, my path has diverged a lot from these goals, but all of these careers have one thing in common. Each must display a certain level of professionalism. As you may already be able to tell, this workshop is going to be talking all about professionalism and what it looks like for all of us. We are going to be thinking about your profession and your work throughout this workshop. It's important for all of us to start thinking about how we behave in certain situations. To get into this mindset, let's all play a quick game. We are all going to go find an item, no matter what it is, that reminds us of work. Maybe it's a work hat, maybe it's a pencil and paper, or maybe it's your car keys. Whatever your object is, get it when the timer starts. You have 30 seconds starting now. My item. This is my name tag for my current internship.
Hey y'all, I've got my item too. It's my name tag from Texture House. We should all have our items by now, so let's keep these items with us as we go through this workshop to keep in mind the topic of our work and our profession.
I'm Sarah Landers, one of your current state officers for the North Carolina FFA Association. As part of this year's state leadership conference, Colton, last year's state vice president, and I wanted to talk to you all about not only your jobs, but the attitude and behaviors that you exhibit there, and how these topics can be used in this upcoming school year.
Behavior. There are always set behaviors that people follow in day-to-day life. In fact, we should all have an example in front of us that exemplifies our work or professional behavior from our scavenger hunt. What might it look like for us if we behaved in an outrageous way while expected to work? To picture this better, let's watch a quick clip from one of my favorite shows, Parks and Rec. Let's watch the character of Ron Swanson and think about how he behaves. The action he takes in this scene is definitely not appropriate for the setting. Some people may even describe this action as unprofessional. While we keep this in mind, let's take a second now to watch an example of someone else exhibiting professionalism.
When the video clip begins to play, we are going to focus on a new character from Parks and Rec named Leslie Knope. Let's watch her behavior during the situation at hand and compare how her actions differ from Ron's that we saw in the first clip. Let's all get ready to watch. To observe a lot of ways that Leslie and Ron differ from each other in their behavior, especially for the circumstances and setting their behavior takes place in. What are some immediate differences that you could spot? Which one do you believe had more appropriate behavior? And which one of them would you rather work with? We may also be able to notice that Leslie displayed what could be described as professionalism. Professionalism can be described as how you display your behavior, attitude, and skills in your workplace or environment. Having professionalism means that we are displaying the appropriate behavior for our current situation. When we are professional, we display the right character traits so that we can be taken more seriously and have more influence whatever we are doing, in whatever setting we are in.
Being professional can include many different traits and behaviors. I'm sure we can all imagine a time that we've had to act in a professional way. For me, this may have looked like the behavior I displayed while meeting an advisor for the first time. For you, this may look a lot different. We know the specific definition for professionalism, so now let's try to get more specific with our thinking.
In a second, a QR code will appear on the screen. When this happens, we will all take out our phones to scan this code. We will all be taken to a shared Jamboard that we will be able to edit in real time with other North Carolina FFA members from across the state. On this Jamboard, we will all add at least one trait that we associate with a professional setting based on our personal experiences. If you're stumped, try asking yourself how you might behave in the environment or situation you thought of during our working scavenger hunt. When we see the QR code, we will all scan, go to the Jamboard, and add one trait that we associate with professionalism. Let's take 3 minutes now to add to this Jamboard.
What traits were we able to add to the board, and what traits did we see that others had added? Could we notice a common theme within these traits? Some traits we might have noticed include things like courteous, reliable, business-oriented, and more. Overall, we can see that people who display professionalism are more pleasant to work with and be around. They can respond reliably to a wide variety of situations and give advice and support to their peers.
Now that we know more about the specifics of what it looks like to be professional, or what traits are associated with professionalism, we will move on to when we must apply this. Think about how we act in different situations. We might not be as professional in each one as they might expect it to be in Parks and Rec when they are admitting their mistakes to their coworkers or attending a meeting with their entire department. When we're with our friends, we might act a lot more unprofessional than we're with our principal or our boss. To reflect on these situations and how our behavior differs in all of them, let's take a look at different scenarios and consider how we might be expected to act throughout each and every one of them.
In a second, another QR code will appear on the screen. We will be taken to a Google slide with multiple different scenarios we might encounter on a day-to-day basis. We will all read over these scenarios and use our pen and paper to write down how we would respond or act in each scenario. If we are with others, we can use this time to have a discussion with a partner or with the group. When the QR code appears, we will scan this code, read our scenarios, and write down or discuss how we would behave. Let's all take 6 minutes now to take a look at that slideshow.
about each scenario as we read through them. Did we notice any differences with how we process the different scenarios? What similarities can we recognize in certain scenarios? As we completed this activity, many of us may have begun to realize a pattern. There are situations in which we must be very professional, and there are others in which we can be very casual, but there are many that exist in between. Let's look at a visual representation of this sliding scale of professionalism now. Where a situation in our life falls on this sliding scale will help us determine the appropriate ways to act.
We've looked at different situations we may encounter often and thought about what these situations may look like in terms of professionalism. We can see where our example scenarios might fall on our sliding scale. Let's keep these examples and this visualization in mind as we look at some of our own real-life examples.
Let's all take out our writing utensils and paper to complete our next activity now. We will take some time to write down 3 different situations we deal with commonly. This might be home, work, school, driving in your car, grocery shopping, or more. Let's all write down our different situations on their own piece of paper. We can take 2 minutes starting now. Alright, we should all have 3 different examples of situations we see in our day-to-day lives. Let's all look at the professionalism sliding scale now. We can all take our 3 situations and look at where they might fall along this line. If we are in a classroom, let's try taping or writing our situations on the board together. If we're watching separately, let's place our scenarios along the sliding scale now. We are all going to take 2 minutes to complete this part of our exercise starting now.
What did we notice about where our situations or activities lie on the scale? How would our behavior in these situations differ? Could this scale help us determine our behavior in future situations too? We can all notice we behave differently in almost every situation we're in. In new situations, it can often be awkward when figuring out how to act. However, if we are able to look at the context of the situation and place this situation on our sliding scale, it may help us determine the appropriate behavior. When we apply the scale, we are given more confidence in our actions.
We have all learned a lot more about what professionalism is and how we can apply it in our day-to-day lives. So now let's take some time to practice what we've learned with a mock situation. We are all going to take some time to look at a brand new situation, one in which you may have never experienced before, and use both our professionalism traits and professionalism sliding scale to determine how we might act.
In the second, we are going to see the beginning of a script. And on the screen, using our pencil and paper, we are going to continue the script. You can use however many details you want while continuing this, and it can be however long you want. Make sure we are keeping the traits of professionalism in mind as we complete our script. Our goal for this will be to communicate with a new member about our FFA chapter. Again, we will see the beginning lines of a script, and we will write the rest of our script with our pencil and paper. We will have all 8 minutes to finish this scene. Let's see the script now.
scripts now? What traits did we try to keep in mind as we finished our scripts? Were there any struggles we had with writing the script? Why do we think these factors made it more difficult? If we were to use our scripts in real life, do we think that we would be able to make a positive impression on this potential member? Throughout completing our scripts, we may have tried to appear more friendly, welcoming, or outgoing. We may have tried to explain what FFA was or what it meant to us. Our behavior might have not been the traditional definition of professionalism, and we might have not needed to act 100% formally, but we were still able to apply the same principles of professionalism to this situation. We were able to act in an appropriate manner, and if we were able to carry out this situation in real life, hopefully we would be able to make a positive difference in this potential member's life.
In our lives, we all must act different in different situations. As we gain more experiences with different situations, we become more comfortable with them. We just encountered a new situation together, so let's take some time to practice reacting to this new situation.
We have our completed scripts, so now we are going to take a step out of our comfort zones and use this time to act out our scenarios. When I say go, we are going to act out our scripts or go over our scenario with another person. We may be at home alone without other members with us, but we can still reach out to our family members and ask them to go over our scripts with us now. If we are together with other members, this is the perfect opportunity to pair up. And if we are completely home alone, we can practice going over our scenario with a pet or even a stuffed animal. When I say go, we are going to find someone, no matter who or what they are, and ask them to help us go over our scenarios and scripts now. We will have 5 minutes to complete this task. Go!
What was hard about this activity? Did we try to include our body language in our acting? What will we be able to use from this practice the next time we talk to a new member? What about the next time we encounter any new situation? Hopefully our script and our acting helped you visualize this situation much better. And notice how we were able to display what we have learned about professionalism, even in less formal settings. We also hopefully demonstrated that we are able to step out of our comfort zone and learn more about ourselves and how we can make a positive difference to others. We all have to apply the topic of professionalism to our lives. Being professional and using the appropriate behavior in all situations we're in allows us to positively influence all of those around us and make a bigger impact on everyone around us. Just like Ron Swanson made a big influence on everyone with his inappropriate behavior, using a positive behavior enables us to make an even bigger impact. Let's take some time to reflect on the traits and applications of professionalism by writing down how we might use these in our future.
We are all going to see a QR code on the screen that takes us to a Google form with questions about how we might use professionalism in our day-to-day lives. Don't worry, the form itself is anonymous when we submit our answers. Let's all take a few minutes now to fill out the form and answer these questions. Questions in mind as we continue on through State Leadership Conference and throughout this year in FFA. Thank you so much for participating in my workshop. Let's all use these lessons we've learned while advocating to make a big and positive impact on North Carolina FFA. Thank you.